All right, right now I'm here with.
Pierre Bassene.
Where are we at right now, man?
We're in the studio. Our
Studio,
Montreal.
Orphee Studios, Montreal, Canada.
You got a t-shirt on.
PB, Paris exclusive. I want to ask you, kick it off, where are you from?
So I'm from France, east of France, small town. Uh, half French, half Senegalese.
How long were you in France for?
My whole life up until I was probably 19 or something. I moved to Canada in 2017, I think.
And why'd you move to Canada?
Just some of my friends moved to Canada, and they had like a startup, like a tech startup. And I had dropped out of school. I didn't have nothing to do, and they asked me to come. They would pay for everything if I worked for them, so I did it.
When did you start the brand?
The brand kind of officially started more in like 2018, I would say. Like when I was in Canada, like a year in, I was just kind of like learning everything. I've been making clothes before, but like this is when I kind of like officially started it as like Pierre Basenne World.
What was your first piece you made with Pierre Bassene?
Actually, I have it here. It's like this like boiled wool sweater that had like, I made like a stencil, like a cutout, kind of like one of these, but like on paper. I can show you after. And it was, yeah, I just stenciled it on, and yeah, 28. I think this was maybe in 28.
You spray painted it?
No, I just painted it with the fucking paintbrush.
I wanted to talk about, I know you were like one of Spencer Badu's earliest models.
Yeah.
I want to know how you made that connection when you came over to Canada.
So we were talking when I was in France already. I didn't know he was from Canada or anything. And then we were talking through
How were you talking?
Instagram.
Through Instagram.
Randomly, just because I had seen his brand. I liked it a lot. And I thought it was fire. So we'd start DMing and stuff. And then I realized that I was going to Toronto, and I didn't know anything about Toronto before I moved to Toronto. I was on YouTube, like Udemy, like Toronto, how does it look like and shit. And then, yeah, I just told him like, yo, I'm coming to Toronto, and you're from Toronto, so like, let's link up. And at first, I think he didn't think I was actually gonna come, and then one day I just texted him. I was like, yo, I'm here. He was like, I stopped by the studio, and then that's how we started.
Hold up. When was your first time working with him?
I don't think, like, we've never like worked like as a model.
As a model.
I don't know, bro. Because at first I was just kind of like his fit model. So he would just tell me to pull up to the studio, try on some stuff. Yeah. And then in exchange, I would just, on my days off, like, cause I was working like from home, like for the tech stuff, I was just going there every weekend just to kind of like learn more about like pattern drafting and like the actual like root of it. Cause I knew how to sew, but like not really, you know, there's like knowing and knowing. So that's how I started doing pattern drafting.
All with him?
Yeah, he just gave me the books and he was like, here you go. Whatever you want to do it, do it. If you have any questions, let me know. And then I would just use the studio, all the sewing machine, all the tables.
Amazing. When was your first collection with Pierre Bassene that you got a manufacturer to produce?
First, I was using blanks. So like, you know, back in Toronto, I find like a blank company, ran it with them, brought it to the printer, printed it. And that's how I kind of got like, you know, the ball rolling.
Was it the same fingerprint?
Yeah.
And then when was the first time sending it overseas?
Sending it overseas, actually, like, that's the thing, because it's like, I'm from overseas, right? So like, obviously, like, first, like, my core, I guess, following was from like France, because it's like, I've been around France. I was going to the Fashion Week back in 2016. Like doing all of that, not as a model, just as like a admirer. Like I was just like, you know, kind of like looking for a while, got there, try to get into the shows, doesn't work, like do all of that. So like that's how like my first, you know, the people that were like, I guess like that knew me were from there. So it's like from the first drop, like this, like the people that were like ordering were coming from like France and then like a little bit of Canada.
We were talking about this before, like mainly your following with the brand is from Europe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, especially now, like it grew a little bit more like towards like France, Europe, and everything. But we grew also like the Canadian part and then US and stuff. So like we kind of like tapped in both market at the same time, which is pretty interesting.
Amazing. I wanted to talk about your design process with Pierre Bassene. So like, how does For example, like your denims, how does it come from an idea to like a released product? What's your process through that?
I mean, the denim was like almost like the first piece that I had done ever, because when I was doing the stencil thing, I didn't have the brand at the time, just the fingerprint, not even the brand name. Like I didn't know I was gonna call it Pierre Bassene or whatever.
Yeah.
So like with the stencil, like I just wanted to go to the fashion week with some like fresh pieces and like things that no one saw and like no one had to be different and stand out. So like that's why I put like, you know, the whole idea behind the fingerprint, but as well I put the fingerprint. So then I just put the stencil of the fingerprint on a pair of jeans that I bought for like €5 and then stenciled it on top, and then I was like, damn, it's kind of looking fresh. Like, so like that's the first design process. It's not really like a design process, but like there's like other pieces that are like I haven't introduced yet that are like way more like, you know, thought, like way more thought behind it, and then like the design process is, I mean, I guess the shorts was like the first piece that was kind of like that, you know, like introducing like less of a logo, more of like a shape and like textures, playing with texture, the shapes, the organic shapes, which like is like significant of like the fingerprint as well, as, like the whole play on that. So like,
So you start with the sample, and then after the sample, you send it off to the manufacturer. Or when was the first time you drew up a tech pack for the denims?
in 2020 probably, because like that's the first time I released the denim was in 2020. Yeah, I had to kind of figure out the manufacturing process as well. So it's like Spencer helped me a lot because he was already like in this world. So like I kind of got some insight from him, and then just like, you know, reaching out to manufacturer, working with one manufacturer, trying to figure out how to work like around like making tech bags and like speaking that language. But like luckily, like me learning how to sew allowed me to like know how to speak their language, because it's like very technical, like all the small details. So that's why it's like I can make like such a, like a good product out of the manufacturer wherever I go, because I've spent so much time on the garments and I know my garments so well that it's like I can tell them what kind of stitch we gotta make, what kind of finishing, like what's the fit like, and like all of these small details to make sure like the garment is like as elevated as I want it to be.
Amazing, yeah. For the brand, what's coming up next? What can we expect from Pierre Bassene?
Next is gonna be a lot of products. We have like, I feel like we've only introduced like the basics and like you know the OG pieces, you know, the denim, the fleeces, so like zip hoodie, sweatpants, some shorts a little bit. The short was like the first like step into like, you know, the broader side of Pierre Basenne World, but like, you know, definitely like more of those like experimental pieces, more pants, but not necessarily like just the jeans, you know, like,
Amazing,
yeah, we have like some cargo pants and like, there's so many things with design, like, you know, so like expanding a little bit more to like workwear that we've done, yeah, some fleeces again, but like, you know, differently, like just like more like really experimental.
Amazing. What's your favorite piece you released?
The favorite piece I have released must be I mean, I love the knit so much, yeah. But like, I only released the knit because I love them so much. Like, at first it was like kind of like a mistake. I was supposed to make like a long sleeve knit, and then like the manufacturer had sent me like process pictures, and they hadn't assembled like the arms yet. And then I was like, oh, just leave it like that. Like, it's actually pretty fire. And then we just added like the color trims and stuff to do the contrast, and yeah. So like, I love this one. And then another personal favorite was like the pendant tee when I had released the pendant, just because of the whole process behind it. Like, I had received the sample of the pendant that I first released, and then I had just took a picture of it. And then since I love like playing around with Photoshop and stuff, I was about to release the pendant, and I was like, yo, let's just try and do like a graphic inspired by that. Like, I don't remember if it was BBC or like with the Nego chains. So like, yeah, like a T-shirt inspired by that with like the picture that I took of the pendant. So I just did a little Photoshop thing and then put it on a T-shirt. So like, honestly, this is probably one of my favorite T-shirts.
Amazing. I wanted to ask you, what would your advice be for an up-and-coming designer?
Just like, you know, believe in what you're doing, like try and build like your own little world and like stick to it. Make sure you stay true to yourself, and then just like don't like skip on like some step of the process. Like everything is so important, and like if you want to make like if you want to have like your own brand, whatever it is, if either it's just graphic tee or something, like knowledge is like what's the most important, and then just, you know, never do it out of like anything other than like love, you know.
Love what you do, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I know you model. How long have you been modeling for?
Probably like, you know, that's how I kind of got into that fashion scene at first in Paris. So it's like I was like, I could maybe model. So it's like, you know, started off Instagram and then kind of like moved towards maybe trying to get into an agency and stuff like this. But like probably now like 6-7 years.
6-7 years.
Yeah, like slightly before I came to Canada.
What was your first modeling gig?
I mean, I was doing like shoots for like Instagram brands and stuff back then. So it's like small Instagram brands that would just like give us clothes and stuff, and it would be in Paris or like some street stuff. But then after, I think my first runway was in London for Cassini.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a London brand.
So how'd you make that transition from doing shoots with Instagram brands to a runway?
I guess I just got scouted. Yeah. Like, agency was like, you know, reaching out to you on Instagram. I feel like that's how it works kind of nowadays. Like, if you don't get scouted in the streets, agency reach out to you on Instagram, ask you if you're signed because they like your picture. It's like a whole long process. Like, but like modeling is definitely like, it was a good way to start and like get your foot in the door and like learn about the behind the scene and like be like at those places, because it's like, you know, it's a good place to be at. Like, you know, in a runway show, you kind of see like what happened behind the curtain. So it's like, you can even chop it up with the designer if you want to, and then kind of ask for your advice. So like,
it's amazing. What runways have you done?
I've done Marnie, which was like my favorite. Done it like a couple of times. Kasimi, and then I was doing like Maison Mihara. It's like a Japanese brand. Fire. They have like those like, you know, melted kind of Converse. Like, I don't know if you've seen them. Yeah.
What's it like behind the scenes of like a bigger runway show like Marnie?
It's like organized but like unorganized. Like, it's weird. Like,
Just hectic.
yeah, it's super hectic. Like, last minute changes. Even like as a model, you realize that like sometimes you don't know up until like 12 hours before the show that you're gonna do the shows, or like you're doing the fitting like literally like at 1 a.m. and then the show is like the next day at like 11. So they're like fitting you, trying on the clothes, trying to fit. So you're not even sure if you're gonna do the runway until you're like walking. Yeah.
How did you get the Marnie one? Were you scouted for it, or did you go up and audition?
We were doing all the casting because it was in Milan. So like, I'm signed to a Milan agency. So yeah.
You just ran up the casting.
Yeah, we're doing all the castings and stuff with all of my friends. Like that, you know, I feel like all of our group of friends kind of transitioned from like that modeling to like now doing something else. I feel like modeling is like a gateway to doing what you want to do, or like, you know, because you get to meet so many people around the world and like, so like, you know, for instance, when I was doing Marnie and stuff, I went with my friend. I was with Tristan, that now has his brand, and like Junior, that now has the brand, like Clint, the shoe brand and everything. So like, that's how kind of we like, you know, we've created like that group of friends, and then, yeah.
Do you have any specific stories that stick out when you're in Tristan, where chopping it up in Paris Fashion Week?
But not really. One funny story is like it was in Copenhagen. We were doing the Helia Emil runway.
Okay.
And then it was his birthday, and then I had strep throat, and then we went out for his birthday, and then I went back home, but then he stayed out. He was chilling, doing his thing, and then he just ended up getting punched randomly by some guy, and then he come back home with like a big black eye and shit. Yeah, it was pretty fun. Yeah, no, just a bunch of fun stories in Paris, in Milan, and all of these things. Like it's definitely like it's the best. Like cause like I feel like it's not necessarily just about modeling, but it's just like connecting with so many people on different like step of the way, like, you know, designer, stylist, casting director, like whatever the case may be. Yeah. So like, yeah, like connecting with so many people, you get to like learn about so many things and stuff. I feel like that's what inspired all of us to like pursue what we want to do, because it's like it was the first time we kind of see like people that look like us, you know, like do what they want to do and stuff, and just kind of like spark those ideas in my head, at least, to be like, okay, like maybe I could do this thing too, because it's like I have all those ideas, I have the will, but now it's like I just had to do it, and I did it.
Amazing. Yeah. So like obviously we're in Montreal right now, and you live in Montreal now. Mm-hmm. When did you come to Montreal?
So I moved officially here, I think 6 or 8 months ago.
Okay. Why'd you come here?
I'm like kind of like a nomad, so like I like to move places. You know, I'm from East small town, 8,000 citizen city in France. Then I moved to like a bigger city for like studying, and then from here I was starting to go to Paris a lot, and then from Paris I kind of like not get bored, but like, you know, I wanted to see some more stuff. Like I just, you know, I'm so hungry to like see the world and like meet peoples and stuff, like you and Tristan and like so many people that I wouldn't have met if I had like stayed where I'm from. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to like keep that going and like not get comfortable and like settle in one place, especially at my age. You know, I'm pretty young, so like I want to keep like moving and see different places. So that's why I moved to Toronto. That's one of the reasons I moved to Toronto, and then from Toronto stayed 4 years, and I'm like, let's see something new. Like Montreal's pretty close, and then it's like it allowed us to do like more of the thing that we like, because it's like slightly on the cheaper end of like things, like rent wise and stuff like this. So that's why we can afford to have like a studio like this, and then, you know, do the brand without necessarily like having like another job or anything, you know.
So this studio houses a couple brands. We got you. Who else do you share with?
So we have Atypic, Pornography, then we have this sound that makes music, Moses. Then we have like Zaz, artists, painters, Simons, yeah. And then we have Raf, Alexis that do like photos, so it's kind of like a 360 take on like, so basically whatever you think we can do like creative wise, we can do everything in-house, from making clothes to shooting the campaign to making the background for the campaign to editing the campaign to making the soundtrack of the campaign.
That's pretty much everything in here.
Yeah.
You don't even need to leave this space to create a whole,
and that's why we never
universe.
Leave the space. So even if you're from Montreal, you probably barely see us, because like we just spend like our whole time, like, you know, there's almost someone in this studio 24 hours of every day. Yeah. Like 24, like any day, any time, you can probably knock on the door and someone's gonna probably be here.
Yeah. A question I ask everyone, what is your favorite place to eat in Paris? Favorite place to go out? If I was going to France for the first time and you're recommending me spots to eat, go out, and then check out.
To eat in Paris, probably like my favorite thing would be like just find like a Senegalese restaurant where you can eat like cheboujen. Okay. So like there's a couple of ones, you know, I'm a gatekeep a little bit because we can't give out now. But yeah, like probably like, I mean, obviously there's like the big known one like Wally Faye, but like, you know, it's not the best one. Like it's very good, but it's like it's a little overhyped. Props to them though, because it's good. But there's like small, more like independent, like, you know, like mom and pop shops that are like crazy, and like I couldn't even tell you the name, because like it's more like you go there, like, you know, you just find it. So yeah.
What's the nightlife in France?
So that's the thing. I feel like in Paris, or like at least in Paris, I talk about Paris, but like it's like there's not necessarily like a set spot, like you know, when you go there, it's like that's what's happening. It's more based on like what event is happening there, or like who's spinning, or who's performing, or
Kind of like the same like Toronto.
exactly, yeah. So it's not about like, yeah, it's not about one spot, like one club that you're always gonna go to. Like tonight's like, I don't know, this spot might be dead and it's like no one's lining up, and then tomorrow's like the most packed spot and you can't get in. So like that's what I like about it too. It's like super like diversified in terms of like where you're going out and stuff.
And where were you chilling when you were in France?
When I was in France in general, or in Paris?
Paris. Let's do Paris.
Chilling.
Where would you want me to go check out?
What's interesting to do in Paris? Like, I don't even know, because it's like when I go there, like I don't even do like, you know, for instance, this time I was just at the pop-up, so like I was just at the pop-up every day. But like, you know, the Marais and stuff is cool because, you know, cool stores, cool place to eat and stuff.
I know you're chilling at that park outside the Eiffel Tower.
Exactly.
That's the spot.
Exactly. That's like, you know, the
Classic
tourist
spot.
thing, yeah. But that's the sick spot though, you know. If you're not from there, you gotta go there. Bring a girl on a date or a guy on a date, whatever. Have fun over there. Little picnic thing. Then you can go, visit like, do like the monuments and stuff. Cause like the history of Paris is like, what's like so interesting about the city, I think, because it's so old, and it's like literally everything you're looking at is like so fucking old. You can go to a fucking church that's probably Jesus was there or something. Like that's how it feels like. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty sick.
And then I have the same questions about Toronto. Favorite spot to eat?
See, that's the thing. I'm not like, you know, I don't know the good spot. Like I'm not the type of guy that do the fancy spot all the time. So like, what my go-to when I go into Toronto, I probably could get some heat for that because it's not the best spot, but it's my personal best, like conveniently, and then everything like all the stars aligning. It's Jerk King, my Dufferin, and Bloor. Because I would take the Dufferin bus from St. Clair West, go all the way, stop at different station, hop out, get my little jerk chicken, then keep going down and go all the way to Exhibition where Spencer's studio was, and then just eat over there, and then work and build the brand and just do some pattern and sew some shit.
And where were you going out? Like,
I mean, Toronto was definitely a lot of apartment 200 because.
Same thing here.
Exactly. A lot of, what else? Where would we go out? There was a couple like cool like warehouse like raves and stuff that was like more towards like, I guess like Stockyard area. That was pretty sick. Like these were like nice parties. And then what else? Where would we go? Yeah, like I feel like those little like rave like parties and stuff like back in 2017, 2018 was like sick. Yeah. Cause it's like fall them. Yeah. And then obviously during the summer, a couple blocks party and shit. Yeah. That was like.
And then where are you chilling most of the time in Toronto? Just Spencer's studio or what?
Yeah, a lot of Spencer's studio. Then after me and Tristan moved in together, so we had our own crib. So we just stay at the crib all the time because we had like the sewing machine, but and like we didn't have like a living room. It was just kind of like the studio too, like living, working kind of situation for the whole pandemic, which was pretty sick to be honest. Like my lockdown was sick. We were playing laser tag in the crib, sewing. Exactly, designing, sewing, playing Call of Duty, eating food, ordering Uber Eats, and yeah, like, yeah, shout out Canada for that one. Shout out CRB.
I wanted to talk to you about where you want to take Pierre Bassene in the next 5 to 10 years.
I mean, that's like, you know, kind of like no ceiling kind of question, because it's like I'm gonna take it like as high as I can possibly take it, but ideally, you know, like I would want to like, you know, have like being like you know, established, not necessarily in any like wholesale or anything. Like, you know, I like being like super close, like, you know, keep doing what I do, and then whatever scale it gets to, like, you know, literally like just as long as I like what I'm doing, like as much as I'm loving it now, like I just want to make sure I keep that like same energy going. Like, you know, I love waking up every day and just, you know, doing this, you know, and it's not like, it's not creative every day. That's the thing, because it's like, you know, I had to start taking on like a more like serious part of the business, because like we're turning into like a business. So like the whole like accounting side of the business, the legal side of the business, like all of these things, like make sure like you're doing everything, your trademark, your accounting, like your business, like, you know, everything like set up properly. But it's like a fun process, because it's like, you know, you get to, like, you know, I never went to school for any of that, and I'm trying to figure out, like, you know, I'm trying to find an accountant, a good accountant and stuff, and like build a structure. And I feel like that's one thing that like we don't really see from anyone in the industry, or like that no one really talks about as much. And I wish, like, besides like having fun, like, or like designing, like, yo, like how the fuck do you build a structure? Like how the fuck do you set up a business? Like how the fuck do you take care of accounting and legal stuff? Like how the fuck you incorporate, like you like, you know, you incorporate your business, like how the fuck you everything, like
Do all that.
Yeah.
So would you say that has been like one of your biggest roadblocks?
not roadblocks, but it's like I'm happy that I'm going through that, because like, you know, I'm actually learning it. Like, you know, I'm wearing so many different hats in a day, where it's like I'm coming in and then I have to do emails, and then you have to like kind of like learn about customer service and everything, because like this, I'm almost like up until recently like a one-man team. So like I had to do all of these things eventually, like customer service, then after figuring out like how to incorporate like in Canada. Then, you know, obviously I'm not Canadian, so it's like a bit of a hassle. So talk to lawyers, and then, you know, everything's so, you know, there's so many things involved in moving pieces. So like, I feel like until you kind of like get to hit that, like, you know, you're like flying, you know, you're just good cruise control thing, like it takes a minute, and like a lot of trial and error, and like all of these things, questions. So that's why it's like, you know, I built like kind of like a system around me where I can ask questions to like so many people, like, you know, to like figure out that I've like gone through or like going through the same situation, and I make sure to like help whoever's coming after me to like kind of like give those like pieces of information if I can help, like, you know, how to like whatever business you're into. It's not necessarily like fashion, because at the end of the day, like for everyone, even someone that's in the music industry, like you gotta like start to like learn about those things, because it's like otherwise you won't be able to like transition from being like a school project to like a business where you can, you know, actually like try and get somewhere with it.
Yeah, feel that. That's good advice. What are some of your favorite brands that you want to put on the radar for people that are coming out of Canada or just in general?
I mean, my favorite brands, that's hard to say. Like I like mostly like wear like my or like my friend's stuff. So like I'm not super exactly, you know.
Atypical on the
Yeah,
chain.
exactly. We got Atypic. We got obviously Spencer Badu, Pornography.
Check those.
Yeah, we got the Jones on, but you know they ain't up and coming. They came already. They're here. Shout out to them. Shout out to everyone. Like I love like all the small, like not small, not so small, like brand that are like fully like independent, like, you know, like even from like London and shit. My friend Clint that do Clint the shoes, or even like the guys at Cortez, like, you know, like everyone, like we kind of like all started at like the same time, and everyone taking it at the same pace, but like, or like different pace, but like, you know, doing different things and stuff. And like it's so inspiring to see like everyone kind of like doing it, and then I just have my respect for everyone that like actually doing it, you know, like shout out to them.
Yeah, Clint's blown up crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's super crazy.
You know, the shoe, like the work on the shoes and stuff, like everything, like, yeah, that's my bro, like shout out to him, because like to make a shoe brand is like a whole other headache. Like props.
What can we? You have any events planned with Pierre Bassene coming up?
Well, we're working on like we obviously just did that like our first pop up in Paris in June, but
That was your first one ever?
yeah. First pop up ever. So next is gonna be like probably do like a Toronto, Montreal kind of like event, and then yeah, do one of them things.
Montreal. And what are some pieces? You don't have to say, but if you have any sneak peeks for the people, what are some pieces that are dropping soon?
It's, you already know. I've probably showed that like before. We have some like sweatpants, kind of like similar to the shorts. A bunch of colorway with the denim jeans, some shorts, some crew necks.
A lot of fall, winter wear.
Yeah, some fall, winter wear, the workwear stuff that's coming. And then more like fun, like not funny, but like fun pieces. Like I have some polar fleece that I designed. Some like nylon pants over there, crew neck, the red one. Shorts, like yeah.
Amazing, bro.
Yeah, I have like hundreds of pieces that I can. I just gotta figure out, which one to put out. But I want to take my time though. Like I'm not like.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everything is like properly introduced.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. We're going far.
Exactly. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for having a conversation.
No, thank you.
I'm excited to see the brand grow. I'm excited to see all the pieces you drop.
Yeah.
Pierre Basenne the world.
Exactly.
Appreciate you.
To the universe next.
Good.